Later in the broadcast, we'll speak with Israeli peace activist Maoz Inan, who lost both his parents in the October 7th attack. We'll also speak with Aziz Aboussara, a Palestinian peace activist. Together, Maoz and Aziz have traveled the world, met with the Pope and U.S. Congress members, calling for an end to the occupation, an end to war, and calling for a permanent ceasefire. French President Emmanuel Macron says France is no longer sending arms to Israel and called on other nations to halt deliveries of weapons.
Néanmoins, nous essayons aussi d'être cohérents.
However, we also try to be consistent, and when we call for ceasefires, this is the case for Gaza. This was also the case for Lebanon last week. Well, we try not to call for a ceasefire while continuing to deliver weapons of war, and I think it's just consistency.
Meanwhile, in an interview with CBS's 60 Minutes, Vice President Kamala Harris defended U.S. military aid to Israel, which soared to a record $17.9 billion over the past year. A senior Pentagon official warned the White House last October that Israel's plan to uproot more than 1 million Palestinians from their homes in Gaza would be a humanitarian disaster and could violate international law, leading to war crime charges against Israel. That's according to Reuters, which reports the warning came in an October 13th email to the White House from Dana Stroul, then the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for the Middle East. Stroul wrote that an assessment by the Red Cross predicting a humanitarian catastrophe from Israel's mass expulsion order had left her chilled to the bone. Despite those concerns and similar dire warnings from the State Department's Bureau of Democracy, Labor and Human Rights, the White House expedited the transfer of weapons to Israel, including thousands of precision-guided missiles and 2,000-pound bombs. Meanwhile, Drop Site News is reporting Secretary of State Antony Blinken last October signed off on a plan by Israel to bomb trucks bringing humanitarian aid into Gaza. Blinken's approval came after he joined an emergency meeting of Israel's war cabinet at the Israeli military headquarters in Tel Aviv last October 16th and 17th. After the talks, cabinet member Bezalel Smotrich said, quote, "We in the cabinet were promised at the outset that aid trucks hijacked by Hamas and its organizations would be bombed from the air and the aid would be halted," he said.